What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Batman issue number 139, the first Batman issue written by Chip Zdarsky following the events of the Gotham War event. And as most of you know, Gotham War just wasn't very good. I think it's like the most disliked DC comic books event I've seen since like Heroes in Crisis. Pretty much nobody really liked that event. I couldn't find one person who was happy with it. Granted, I mean, that's the comment section of my video, looking through threads online. That event was not very well liked. It made the Bat family look like morons. It made Catwoman look like a moron. But we can't have her look too bad because, I don't know, like, it just was a kind of a disaster of an event. So I'm kind of hoping, like, the next arc is kind of get things back on track a little bit. I don't know, like, the Zdarsky run has had some moments that I've liked and then other bits that I haven't. I still don't like the Zur-En-Ah concept. I've never really been a fan of it. It's once again more mind-controlled Batman, which is also going on simultaneously in Detective Comics. So, I mean, if you really like the mind-controlled Batman stuff, then DC Comics is for you right now. So, this one, of course, is written by Zdarsky with the art in the main storyline by Jorge Jimenez, which, of course, very talented DC Comic Books artist. I mean, I've been a fan of Jorge's all the way back through the days of Super Sons, and his art in this issue is quite good. It's, once again, the art is kind of one of the more saving graces of the issue. But as you know, like, look at that shot right there. Look at that image of Batman right there with the rain and all that and the red lighting. Oh god, that looks really great. But basically at this point, Batman just kind of was like had enough of stuff and he's kind of going solo. Not sure how this ties into the events of Batman and Robin, seeing how Bruce and Damian are doing their own thing, living together. I guess this is before that, but maybe not really. I don't really know. It's continuity, like the way the books in that line up, I'm not exactly 100% sure. So yeah, so Bruce is off there. He's off kind of on himself. He's like in disguise and all that. He's kind of like just Batman full time, like no distractions, purely just Batman, and the Zur-En-Ah influences on his mind and all that. He still had the stuff with Jason going on. Bruce goes and kind of investigates a murder, and then he finds some clues leading him to some like doll place, and there's hints with one of his old mentors in that, and it's all basically just a setup by the Joker. Now the art here is quite good. Again, this is Jorge Jimenez. He knows how to do action with his art style, and like all the characters look really like kind of pristine and clean within this particular style. There's some kind of dark images here that are kind of moments of Batman's past, like one of him like as a kid, and there's one of Alfred and all that, and then you have Joker on this throne with all these like doll bodies or whatever. So some of that stuff visually is quite impressive to look at. So that to me is the highlight of this comic book, is Jorge Jimenez's art. But again, it's Jorge Jimenez. He's a fantastic comic book artist, so you're not going to get anything wrong with that. But now the Joker's whole thing is he doesn't want Batman. He wants the true self. So he basically does something to kind of call out the Zur-En-Ah personality, which sort of takes over from Bruce Wayne. And then even inside Batman's mind, there's all these different Zur-En-Ah things like on the side. So now Zur-En-Ah is at the forefront, taking over Bruce's mind. Joker is just like brings out the darker side of Batman, if you will, and he's like, I'm going to kill you now, Joker. And Joker's like, yes, finally, this is what I want, and all that stuff. So that's kind of where that main storyline ends, on a bit of a cliffhanger. Then in the backup, we come to see that Vandal Savage had survived the events of Gotham War. He tries to leave the city, but he finds he's in a real weakened state, so he's kind of forced to stay in Gotham. Now, mind you, he also is still kind of living at Wayne Manor, which should set off red flags that he's alive, and the fact that no members of the Bat family are there keeping an eye on this place. Or Bruce, like, why is nobody watching Wayne Manor? I mean, you got the Batcave, you got all that stuff. Didn't Dick Grayson just shut off like the whole grid and all that? Shouldn't he be like, there's some kind of red flags going on here with stuff at like the Wayne Manor and stuff? Like, why is nobody watching Wayne Manor anymore? Can we, again, this one is written by Chip Zdarsky as well, writes the backup, and then you have Jorge Corona. So Vandal Savage seems to be a villain that's going to be kind of a mainstay in the Batman books for a little while, which I'm kind of okay with. I mean, I like Savage as a villain. Granted, his presence within Gotham War kind of took away from the initial conflict in a way. It just kind of like, we didn't really like solve anything with their whole like, criminals are okay to train them and all that other shenanigans and whatnot, but I don't know. There's just some really kind of like dumb stuff with that. But I still feel like somebody should be keeping an eye on Wayne Manor, like some security measures. Batman isn't doing anything. I mean, Savage just did all this stuff, you're not going to try to bring him in or anything like that, not even like working with the government or some other higher-ups that Batman kind of knows or whatnot. You see what I mean? There starts to be a lot of questions. Surely people within the city who saw what Savage did with this meteor thing would be a cause for concern, but I guess not. I mean, nobody's keeping an eye on things, like things that you'd think would kind of make sense, like, oh, hey, maybe we should keep an eye on Wayne Manor, considering the Batcave is there and all this other information, but nah. You know what? I miss Batman living at Wayne Manor. Why can't we just go back to that? Again, I know some people are like, well, you're somebody who just doesn't want to see the characters evolve or join things in. No, I still do, but there's certain things in the Batman mythos that are just really iconic, and to kind of see all this stuff that feels missing in today's day and age, it just feels kind of empty. Granted, Alfred's one of the big ones. Having him not there is kind of an unfortunate one, but again, I do admire the fact that they actually let that death stick, considering all the stuff with like Lazarus Planet and everyone just coming back continuously and that, because it made death seem kind of meaningless. But like with Alfred, they at least like let it stick. But I still feel like they should be at Wayne Manor. But again, there's other things, such as Bruce Wayne losing all of his money. Why would you want Batman to lose all of his money? Like, that's part of what makes him cool, is he's super rich and he gets to do all these crazy gadgets and just throw money at a bunch of stuff. I mean, if I wanted a superhero with money problems, I could just follow Spider-Man. Part of the reasons I like Batman, yes, I know, like, having with money issues and that, I guess, makes him more relatable, but I mean, Batman's just kind of like the peak of coolness, and he hasn't been written that way in quite a while, it feels like. He's brainwashing Jason Todd by sticking needles in his heads and like performing lobotomies on him, basically, or whatnot. He's moping and crying like a little bitch, like when Selena Kyle shows up. He's mind controlled by Zur-En-Arrh. He's mind controlled by this. He's mind controlled by that. Like, where's the badass, awesome Batman I'm missing? I mean, the closest I got was Batman and Robin, which feels kind of disconnected from things. And also, World's Finest is quite good as well. But like between the two main Batman titles, I feel like Batman's just been, I don't know, it feels empty. He's just not as cool as he should be with stuff. Again, it's Batman. He should be more awesome than the way he's kind of been portrayed in a lot of stuff, especially with Gotham War. Like, Gotham War was a bad take on Batman. It was a bad take on the Bat family in general, and the storyline wasn't very good, but man, the further we get away from that storyline, the better. And I mean, it's not like Chip Zdarsky can't write good stuff within DC. One of the best comic books storylines I remember reading was in the Pages of Urban Legends, the whole storyline with Jason Todd. That was really, really great stuff. And I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see this guy take over Batman. And it just got like super wacky and just ridiculous. And at times it's kind of admirable, but other times just kind of takes me out of it. There's a lot of kind of dumb stuff that's been sprinkled in throughout this stuff. And yeah, we're doing the Zur-En-Arrh stuff, and nothing in this issue is quite as bad as something like in Gotham War. And the Jorge Jimenez artwork is still really good here, but there's a few things that kind of left me scratching my head, if you will, especially with the backup, why nobody's keeping an eye on Wayne Manor and be like, oh, we got this guy with Vandal Savage here who we thought was dead, who just did all this stuff. Maybe we should keep an eye on this guy? I guess not. Or maybe somebody will like go back after the fact to look at things, but I don't know. I feel like somebody should be watching over Wayne Manor, if you will. But hey, that's just me. I'm just trying to think of things that I guess the creative team just isn't like kind of considering. But hey, who knows anymore? At the end of the day, it's comic books. There's ridiculous stuff involved, but at the same time, just some things are a little bit questionable within reason. Like, if I can pinpoint that, the Bat family should be able to pinpoint, maybe this is a little bit off here. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, but as this overall kind of issue as it stands now, like I said, I've made it clear I'm not a huge fan of the Zur-En-Arrh angle that they got going on here, but I am kind of appreciative of the artwork and the fact that it is a Batman and Joker storyline that feels a little bit smaller, not like too personal. Nothing like end of the world, big city stuff. It seems just like a smaller Joker and Batman focused thing. It's not for the heart of Gotham or anything like that. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with a smaller Batman Joker, like Batman and just Joker storyline like that. So there are good aspects within this comic book. Like I said, we're still stuck with the Zur-En-Arrh thing. Having Batman be mind controlled, especially considering we have Detective Comics going on simultaneously with him being mind controlled there. Between Barbados, like, how many people are inside Batman's head right now as we speak? I mean, you have Zur-En-Arrh, you have Barbados, you have the Asmere, and like a few hundred other things at this point. He had Neza in his mind too. Like, it is very crowded in this guy's head. I mean, can he Can he get a break? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, who hasn't? Like, I feel like the more surprising thing would be to have Batman not possessed in a comic book at this point. So I don't know. Those are just some observations I've made. I probably rambled on for a bit too long, but hey, this is like the only DC comic book I'm reviewing for this week, and I think the only comic book in general. So yeah, mixed opinions on some ways in this issue. I didn't hate it or anything like that. Like I said, I like the Jorge artwork. I like that it's a smaller, more personal storyline, even if I'm not a big fan of the Zurana stuff. I've never have been. But there are some things I do kind of like about it. So not the worst thing in the world, but nothing like great, like nothing amazing. I feel like this creative team could be doing a lot better than what they're doing here. So yeah, but all right. Well, I think I've rambled on along enough. I feel like I kind of like went off on a tangent, if you will, about the state of Batman in DC Comics, if you will. But like I said, I feel like it's kind of worth discussing since I've been reading all these different Batman titles and that, and I feel like the character is just not written to be like as cool as he should be. That's kind of a strange thing to say, but I mean, it's Batman. He's like the epitome of awesome, and he doesn't really feel that way like half the time at DC Comic Books anymore. So yeah, get him back in Wayne Manor, bring the family back together, give him his money back after it was wrongfully stolen from him, and let Batman just do some cool stuff for a while. It doesn't have to be end of the world, like Gotham's taken over by another criminal. You can do smaller, more character-focused stuff, like more personal stakes. Like the villains are doing something, and it doesn't necessarily have to involve the entirety of Gotham being taken over like every 5 months, or every week, if you will. So give me like the more personal stuff, which this comic book seems to be kind of doing right now with the Batman and Joker, just those two. So yeah, I like that aspect to it, but I kind of want to see more of that stuff. I want to see the Bat family stop fighting for 5 minutes. I want to see Wayne Manor back in the fold with the Bat family living there and all that other stuff. Give Bruce Wayne his money back and make Batman cool again. So there you go. That's all I have to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.